Artificial intelligence is creating a buzz in the broader sort of banking and financial services world, especially with the rise of tools like ChatGPT and so on, right? The real challenge now is moving from pilots to fully integrated production grade systems. Today, we'll look at practical enterprise use cases for generative AI and how it's reshaping the end-to-end, credit workflows for banks and other sort of financial institutions. Joining us today are the leaders from the Evalueserve team. I'll definitely hand over to them to introduce themselves and share more about their roles and the day-to-day activities what they've been doing at the firm. So starting with Anna first. Maybe if you want to go.
Perfect. Thank you. Anna Slotka-Turner. I lead Evalueserve risk and quant practice globally. I work at the intersection of domain, technology, and process improvement. So definitely AI, agentic AI is very relevant.
Maybe Saikat, you want to go next?
Sure. So I'm Saikat. I have about spent 2 decades in the financial services industry, starting right from primarily being an investment banking analyst. I now head the automation and product practice within FS in Evalueserve. And, essentially, between the domain teams and the developers on the other side, we try to define the right roadmap for our products and ensure that our clients are getting the promised ROI when we deploy these automations and products. So happy to join this discussion.
Thank you so much, Saikat. And then maybe Satya, you want to go next?
Absolutely. I'm Satyajit Saha, and I head the technology and digital solutions globally for Evalueserve. And in my remit, I work with people like Anna, Secker to understand what their requirements are for their industries, and then deliver focused solutions, create internal automation tools that we leverage new age technologies like Gen AI. So I'm the engineering team behind the business team that go out to market.
Perfect. I think so. To get things started, I think I would start with a lighter sort of a moment here. Could each one of you share a recent Gen AI moment that made you laugh, or you were really impressed by with its application, with its use cases? You found it in your personal life or at your work. Experiences. Maybe that would be a good starting point, and maybe then we can deep dive into more sort of business workflows. So maybe Anna, you want to start something? You want to share your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm outside of work. I'm redesigning one of my rooms here in the house, and I found the project a bit overwhelming. I thought I work with AI through at work. Why don't I try it also outside of work? So I used one of the engines. I think I used Llama, and I described what I want to do. I said, "This is the room. I need to change the walls, the furniture, the floor, and I want to have a different feel to it." And the first reaction I got from Gen AI was, "Wow, Anna, that's a big project." And I was like, "Yes, finally, someone understands how I feel about the project. It's really overwhelming." So I thought it was very, very sweet. And then I think what really surprised me is that we went through my little design journey, and I got everything, including the type of wood my furniture should be made of to match the carpet I have chosen, and what paint I want, and what colors from which brand would be the right match for my design. So actually, it was really impressive.
Yeah, I could go next. So I love Gen AI, but I want to talk about a funny incident. Since you said, something that made us laugh. So very recently I had to write a board document, and I decided I would leverage a Gen AI tool on a Saturday afternoon when I took my son for soccer practice. So I just, tapped into my work data, tapped into web data, and created an output. And it looked absolutely brilliant. I thought it solved my problems for the next week when I had to submit it. But when it came, when Monday came and when I was reviewing it to send it out to the board, I realized that there was a lot of work that had to be done on it, right? So what I went through was AI endearment, as I call it. And, that's exactly what we try to avoid happening with the tools that we build, because the first step was fantastic. How do you fine tune it for later? So that was a funny incident, and it taught me something, at a very personal level.
All right. I mean, going back to a slightly successful one, and an easier one, I would say. So Gen AI has become a default for me for doing any quick research. So I was recently quite, pressed on time to plan a family vacation, and it was, a kind of spot we were waiting for quite some time, and I was really like worried I did not have enough time. I used GenAI to create the entire itinerary. I mean, what I liked about it is was that, right from understanding my preferences, understanding, let's say, when a museum opens, when it does it close, what are the travel modes, what are the user reviews, and what can be the potential budget that is required. Everything it gave me back with a few prompts here and there. And I think this will evolve further. I think the world will start using personalized DIY agents, which will execute such things quite flawlessly once you give your inputs. And hopefully it will make life easier for all of us.
Yeah, I think interesting sort of, your experiences. Well, I think the journey has just begun, and the progress is moving at a lightning sort of, speed here. From our interactions here at Chart is with the end user community, or when we talk to, the vendor community or the investor community, I think it's clear, the broader financial sort of, institutions across banking, across the different sort of, segments have started to seriously rethink their strategies across the entire sort of, credit value chain. And I think the credit value is not typically, the banking books where, the banks were focusing mainly on retail or wholesale side of things. Alternate credit is a big area of focus. I think it's growing at a rapid kind of, speed as well. And I think a lot of, private credit institutions, including non-bank financial institutions, etc., have started to focus more in this particular space as well, right? Uh, so, where do you see the most strategic application of generative AI use cases right now? I think I would like to hear your sort of experiences as well. And how are client expectations evolving? I mean, typically on in terms of the use cases, what are the biggest drivers here? If you could highlight, maybe. Saikat, maybe you want to start?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Anish. So I start with the last bit, client expectations, right? Client wants faster decisions, real-time insights, and automation that is possible within that ecosystem in their existing legacy systems that we have. So in summary, client wants the world, right? So it's not easy, but with Evalueserve having extensive domain experience, what we have done is we have been focusing on some very specific high impact use cases. So I'll talk about a few in the lending space. One we can loosely call as credit decisioning agents. So for years, Evalueserve has been helping clients with working on templatized work products, among other things. Things such as credit memos, peer analysis, borrower profiles, and our current live GenAI pipeline results show that we can cut down manual effort up to 30-40% at this stage. If a zero draft was to be created or the first draft was to be created using GenAI. I also think that with adequate configurability and auditability built into these systems, these can be very powerful because then you can trust them. And where, let's say, in large corporate banking cases where there are large borrowers and information availability is not a constraint, in those cases, these can really become powerful. Another thing we have been looking at is portfolio monitoring. Now, again, it has been some time clients have moved from static PPTs and Word documents to using dashboards, with giving them that visualization, giving them that ability to slice and dice the data. But we have added to that a GenAI layer on top, which can be even a bot on top of a dashboard. Now, how that has helped is you can actually get to the trends and insights much faster to a specific point which you're looking at, on a certain day, right? Instead of grappling with the entire dashboard. We also see that these trends can actually flag issues which might get missed out otherwise, and this therefore turns into faster decisions. The last one I would like to talk about is again a very, I would say, a strong use case because of the volumes. That is intelligent document processing. So there, traditionally, we have used AI. We have successful products like SpreadSmart, which can do automated financial spreading. But we are continuously evolving that. We think Gen AI can enhance how the system can understand the nuances of a specific borrower better, and therefore giving us more accurate results than what was delivered with traditional AI. So I think those three use cases, I would say memos, portfolio monitoring, and intelligent document processing within the lending ecosystem are things that we have found initial success with.
Very insightful, Saikat. Moving on, maybe Anna, you would like to highlight your experiences here as well.
Super. And I'll ask from the risk angle, kind of where the risk picks up, where from the business team. So once we extend a credit and a loan facility, and we have an obligor, active obligor, we get to the point where we have to monitor the performance, the willingness to repay, the quality of the collateral, the risk we're running. There are many, many challenges with the process as it is currently without agentic. Number of obligors an RM has to cover, number of insight, kind of level of insight they have to get to, how they feed it into the system timely, how does the risk team engage with it. And I think this is an area where this set of early warning signals can be fantastically monitored using agentic. It's not only agentic, it's a combination, obviously, of internal data coming from financial statements. Anything that is in the CRM can also be interpreted by the agent, but it's also going to the outside sources. And I think the ability of this technology to analyze and look for huge amount of information across the whole portfolio and feed it back to the business team first to review and then to the risk team, that is capability that was not there before. That technology did not exist. And I think that empowers the risk teams to have a very different level of understanding what's going on in the portfolio and feed it into the IFRS 9 staging, moving to stage 2, stage 3, where it's applicable, putting on the watch list. It also allows the lender to take any decisions to limit, reduce, restructure much, much sooner. I don't have to explain to you that being able to make that decision and that move ahead of other lenders for the same obligor, where that speed really, really matters. So I think this is where the technology really plays a huge, has a huge benefit to transform the operation and give the big benefit to the lender, doing it at a cost and a speed.
Okay, great. I would definitely echo your sort of experiences here. I think it's pretty clear. Again, like I said, based on our experience, based on what we discussed with the market, Gen AI is adding real value across the credit life cycle. Right from origination, we have seen some interesting use cases. Moving on to credit decisioning, credit monitoring, including things like early warning signals, and all the way to managing the portfolio, monitor the portfolio. Things like if you look the last mile sort of things, what goes to the regulators in terms of performing certain regulatory calculations, including managing the regulatory data and the last mile regulatory reporting. I think yeah, I think it's across the entire credit life cycle, right? But it's not just the credit world. I mean, which is being reimagined. Beyond credit, where else are you seeing, strong Gen AI use cases in the broader, financial services where you guys have your play? I think it would be good to share your experiences in that space as well. Maybe Anna, you want to start here again?
I'll start with this. One of the first deployments we have with Gen AI was actually in insurance, transforming how the insurance underwriting is done. Again, it's an area where there is a lot of data points that need to be analyzed rapidly. Anyone knows that a good underwriters are a scarce resource. Their time is very precious. And you want to have a certain level of quality and the huge amount of data they need to process to create that recommendation for underwriting. We're talking about the specialty insurance here. This is somewhere where Gen AI, where we saw Gen AI come in and basically perform all the analysis of all the different underwriters we're doing for every single case, for every single underwriter. So lifting up the quality of the process, lifting up the quality of the insight that was delivered, again, at speed, leveling up the quality of the underwriting process. I think that is an amazing, amazing use case. So that's one place in insurance where we see a huge benefit of it and have a hands-on experience. We saw agents also, we have a portfolio of agents also supporting a second line of defense on the index calculation. And there is number of parts. I know index is like, there is no room for probabilistic nature of LLMs in the index process. There are actually quite a few where that's a first layer of draft creating by an LLM is helpful before we go to the human controls. We have a pool of agents there as well.
Okay, excellent. I'll come to you, Satya, now. Would you like to highlight your kind of experiences here as well?
Another area where we're seeing strong use cases of AI in the financial services world is in the area of private credit, private equity. These teams, they do a lot of research around company profile, industry deep dives, deal sourcing, and these are areas where AI agents can be leveraged to create what we call first draft content. We have recently, launched an agentic AI studio at Evalueserve called Genie for our teams to create and deploy such agents for their managed services teams. And we are already seeing efficiency gains of about 30 to 50%. So a fantastic area where, the power of AI agents are being leveraged. Another area is in investment research where initiating coverage reports, you need to create those at scale. You can absolutely apply this technology over there. So these are some use cases I wanted to highlight in the episode.
I think very, very interesting and informative sort of use cases I would like to say here. These examples really highlight how versatile generative AI can be, especially when combined with deep domain expertise, which you guys have, in your respective fields. That brings me back to my next, key question. What lessons have you learned from deploying this sort of, solutions and technologies within your client base? If you could share your stories, maybe to start off with, Satya.
I'll get started, and let me start with the first point that I mentioned in the context of AI endearment. What we have really learned leveraging this technology is that a AI pipeline that you create has to be absolutely contextual, which means that when you're building the pipeline, right from the document parsing to chunking to the RAG model and the multiple agents that need to orchestrate with each other needs to be defined with care and needs to be in context of the business or the domain that you're trying to solve for. So this is where the business team and the technology team needs to work very, very close to be able to, make this a success. And that's something we have been practicing. And we're realizing that the quality of our agents, the output of our agents is far superior than what we see in the market because of, the domain and the tech teams coming together to, just make the output so much more contextual and so much more in line with what is required, for different user groups. Another area that I believe has been a learning when it comes to the financial services industry is that unlike other sectors where, we talk about architecture right in the end of, discussing everything else, in the case of financial services, it happens right at the start, right? Very, very early on the discussion, you have to be prepared with information and architecture around what LLM you're using, where is data going to be stored, what is going on for training, what services are being called. That's another area which is extremely critical. So these are two areas, that I believe have been learnings over the last few months. And the final point being not everything is about GenAI. Clients come to us and tell us, we want GenAI to solve a particular use case. And we have to go back and tell them that, it's not GenAI, but some of the old traditional AI approaches and rule-based modeling is what we need to look at. And not everything is GenAI. So we have to be open to taking a step back as well. So that in a nutshell are some of the learnings, that I would like to highlight.
Okay, interesting. Very, very interesting. Maybe Anna, you want to share your experience here as well?
I'll share my experience. I think I'll build on some of the points that Satya made. I think that's why the kind of this interaction of domain and technology, and I'm pointing myself and pointing at you, Satya, the excellent domain, excellent technology come together and becomes really powerful. I love this quote, which is technology is not the strategy. So you really have to come back with what is the use case, what is the business case, and therefore what is the solution for that problem. Technology will be part of this solution. Gen AI will be part of that solution still. A lot of it can be a combination of agentic and a workflow, for example. So keeping in mind that business user, the problem we're trying to solve, or the competitive advantage we're trying to gain, I prefer this positive view of the world. What are we trying to enable is an important lesson. So kind of thinking first to the, it's not about the solution, what is the question, and then what is the solution. Second one is making sure that the humans remain in control. And I think here we have worked with model risk management teams for years. Many awards, including some from Chartis. Thank you guys very much for all the appreciation you shared for us. But I think this is part where financial institutions are uniquely well positioned and prepared with all the governance for introducing potential risk related to this technology. Satya mentioned the questions of architecture and data security come in first. I think the culture of maker checker, three lines of defense is there. So I think financial institutions to understand that there is no way of just releasing it into the system, that there is this human control element there. And I think they have it well rehearsed. So that's the third one. The second one. The last bit is something as we were launching one of the applications into the client environment, we held set of workshops with the client and we showed them the power of technology. We ran some POCs with them and we showed them where we want to use it in the process, kind of why we're transforming the process they kind of gave to us using Gen AI. I think what was fantastic for me that the team engaged in that session. The session was scheduled for 3 hours. I think this stayed for 5 hours in the room because once the team understood the technology better, they had many, many more ideas of how it can be deployed, solving additional challenges that they weren't voicing because they didn't know there was a solution for it, or additional improvement areas they have for it. So I know we just spoke about the early warning signal and staging application. When you take it to the next stage, for example, you say, okay, how do I very rapidly understanding my portfolio, feed it into my lending policy and lending strategy, right? So I think that once you know what's there, you come up with this can lead to more, it enables more growth, it enables new innovation, and that is, if more people understand what is possible, then we come up with even more ideas. So that's my third lesson from the experience so far.
Yeah, I think really great sort of use cases, and I think going forward, one of the key things what we've been observing in the market, I think data governance, including the broader data management, is going to be very, very important. When you go and build this sort of use cases on back of technologies like machine learning or generative AI or RPA, etc. So I think that's going to be a crucial element which all the institutions take to think about. Maybe to conclude this particular question, I think Saikat, would you like to highlight your sort of views as well?
I think this question has been very well covered by Satyan, and I just wanted to add two specific things on the execution front. I think one thing we have learned is that for a particular client, it is important that we are able to rapidly prototype the solution. It has to be it has to show them how their process will work if they are to adopt this solution, which means being a bit configurable to their specific workflow or their templates. I mean, for example, we were discussing credit memo, and every bank has their own way of analyzing things and has their own templates to adhere to, and sections and subsections. Similarly, they will have specific financial spreading guidelines to even adjust the financials. So I think from an execution standpoint, it becomes important that we can react to those or I would say respond to those changes quickly. Second, more important learning for me has been that while percentage accuracy or percentage quality does matter, but at the end of the day, percentage real savings is what the ROI of the use case is. And I think we have realized that that definitely means domain alignment to the use case is a must have. Once you are able to combine those two things, that's where you get the real ROI.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that one of the key takeaways here would be, again, to echo to all three, whatever you said. I think institutions, they need to be well prepared. They need to think about their architecture first, put their problem statement first, and then think about, how they want to go and leverage, AI to their broader sort of, world, right? Okay, I think that gets me to move on to my next question. So, how is your technology strategy evolving as the AI capabilities are advancing, and you see newer sort of use cases every day in the market? So, what are you thinking in terms of your technology strategy? To start off with, Satya, maybe you want to start off with.
Sure, Anish. So the last 1 year has been all about rapid refocus when it comes to our technology strategy because things have changed so fast. Um, Mindless Machine has been a core focus of Evalueserve for more than 15 years. We started with process automation, moved on to RPA, traditional AI, NLP, and now Gen AI. But with the onset of agentic AI and AI agents towards end of last year, one of the core areas that we are focusing on is integrating these capabilities into our managed service processes as well as our existing products, right? Like Sekar was talking about the financial spending platform called SpreadSmart. So how do I bring in AI agents onto SpreadSmart or for the people who are working for research team in the company? So that's one. The shift towards AI agents becoming very central to our managed services processes and existing products. The second area is enabling our business teams to allow them to do POCs or prototype agents easily to show value, right? What Sekar mentioned. Now, historically, a lot of the AI was done by technical teams, engineers. What has happened with agentic studios, and there's so many out there, you're able to give the power of creating at least the first draft of agents to the business users. So how do we enable the business users to be able to create some agents themselves without the help of technical folk? And this is important, if as a company you want to move in that direction. So democratizing the use of technology is the second. The other thing that we are focusing on is prioritization. I think a lot of companies are doing that. We as well. What are the core areas we want to spend our energy when it comes to AI agents and new age tech? So lending, index, risk tech, private equity, very, very focused area, very focused, service lines where we do want to move our focus to, create new AI agents, workflows that are automated. So that's pretty much, some of the uh, rapid refocus that we've done over the last, 1 year. And we're already seeing, quite a few benefits around it.
Excellent. I think one additional point maybe I would like to highlight here. I think again it's based on what we see in the market. I think going forward, deploying this sort of technologies, etc. We believe partnerships along with your entire API ecosystem is going to be very, very crucial, right? How you're going to integrate with your upstream and downstream systems when you go and deploy these technologies. So I think that one area I would like to focus. It's gaining a lot of significance as well. Uh, okay, I think as a wrap up, I would like to maybe ask your individual final thoughts here. Where do you see generative AI in financial services in the broader banking sector heading in the next few years? And how should this institution and their leaders prepare for what's coming for their next sort of generation while performing operations, while performing their credit workflows, etc.
Uh, Now, again, we've been talking about how LLMs are evolving, how technology is being implemented. But then there is also a human question, which essentially means that how I see it is that firms who will really adopt AI at the last grass level, so the next batch of analysts who will come in with their evolving skill sets in usage of advanced AI, how they would know how to speak with AI so that AI can respond more accurately and more contextually. On the other hand, I think the next generation of tools will also expect that kind of a user persona asking them questions so that they can really do magic together, I would say, in at an individual level as well.
Okay. Thanks, Saikat. Maybe Anna, you want to wrap your final thoughts here?
And I've been in financial services now entering my third decade. And it has always been seen as this industry laggard when it comes to innovation. And I think Gen AI is actually different because of all the governance and all the good stuff that the teams have done for the last 5-10 years, ever since the global financial crisis. I think they are ready. And I think we are seeing much more adoption of Gen AI in financial services, especially I think Middle East is leading the pack anyhow. But it's happening much faster. And I think it will be a technology that is much more transformative for financial services than potentially other sectors. I think there's still a huge domain of AI assurance that is just beginning. The likes of AI verifying Singapore, multiple companies trying to enter the space. We're monitoring them very closely. I think there is a lot of exciting stuff happening there. I think that will be an area that will see a lot of growth, and that will also type of additional layer of safety and security that will have to be brought in, and additional costs related to the use of this technology. Therefore, the ROI will have to include all of them. And the last bit, I was going to share this. I think there's a lot of will it be replacing humans? Will it be replacing humans? I prefer to think that it's giving us a promotion because it's I initially like the concept of assistant. Now I think it is they are the maker and the checker, and therefore I am we work in a very different way. I think having that mindset of verifying, checking, challenging what's coming from AI will be an important part of making sure we get to the right outcome using the technology.
Perfect. And I think with that, I would like to conclude this discussion. It was really valuable, and we got to learn a lot from your individual experiences, from the valuable market insights, whatever you have shared, and your vision towards your future technology strategy, and how the institution should be getting prepared while thinking about generative AI on one end, but at the same time thinking about their broader enterprise-wide technology strategies. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks a lot.